Are we over-labeling mental health issues in today's society? A woman brought up a very good point in one of my other videos. I might have to do this in two. But she said, we're over-labeling everything. I don't think everything needs a label. I think this is sort of a detriment to society. It's not helpful. It's not productive. What's the point? This is just what people do. It's human behavior. Well, again, human behavior, just like personality disorders and mental illnesses, all fall on a spectrum, right? So I do get what she's saying, and I do understand that it's like exhausting for people to be like, oh God, what now? What? There's another label for something, and now there's another label for this. And this woman was, I believe, my mom's generation or beyond, and my mom feels the same way. She thinks that everything is just over-labeled, and oh, that's ridiculous, and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't really like it. You can see it irritates her. But why is that we're doing this now, and what's the purpose behind this? Well, let's go back. Let's go back a few decades and a few generations back. Was mental illness really discussed? No. Did lots of people have therapists? Not really. What happened behind closed doors stayed behind closed doors within one family unit. And people minded their own business and they did not intervene. So if somebody decided to beat their child as a disciplinary action, nobody intervened. If a man was going to sexually abuse his wife, that was his business. And she wouldn't necessarily put up a fight to that, because until 1991, it wasn't even considered a thing. Do you see, and the psychological abuse, do you think somebody would go to a shrink or a therapist and say, oh, my husband's calling me names? No. Unless you were being beaten 9 ways to Sunday, or there was major sexual abuse or something going on, or you had a major psychiatric illness, nobody discussed mental illness or mental health issues. There was so much there's so much stigma around it. We know that, and it still is to some extent. Now, fast forward to 2022, and we know the side effects, and we know the detrimental effects of psychological abuse, and it causes brain damage. And now this word narcissism has become so popular, and everybody's like, oh, it's overused, and they didn't even know what the word meant. No, because nobody talked about it. It wasn't, unless you were a mental health professional, nobody knew what BPD, NPD, ASPD stood for. But now that we're seeing, and we've got access to so much information at our fingertips, we're more aware. But why is it important that we actually label some of this behavior? Why do you think it's important to label the behavior when it comes to ASPD or NPD, maladaptive behavior, and how it affects somebody else psychologically? Stay tuned for part 2.